Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're heading to Amsterdam to talk about one of its most famous attractions, the Heineken Experience. It pulls in massive crowds every single year, but what's it really like inside? Let's get into it.
So, imagine this. You're walking through Amsterdam, you see that iconic green building, and you've got a choice to make. Is this a genuine dive into brewing history, or is it just a really slick, super elaborate tourist trap? That's the big question we're going to try to answer today.
Okay, first, let's rewind the clock a bit, because before this place was an experience, it was the absolute heart of the entire operation. This isn't just some random building they picked, it's the original Heineken Brewery. This is the very spot where a small local beer started its journey to take over the world. And the building's own story is pretty fascinating. It all starts back in 1867 as a workhorse brewery, a big employer, and a real landmark for the city. But by 1988, the brand had gotten so huge that this historic spot just couldn't physically produce enough beer. So in '91, it was reborn as a visitor center. And that recent renovation in 2022, that was a massive overhaul to finally deal with the huge lines and give the whole brand story a fresh coat of paint for a new generation.
All right, so you've bought your ticket, you're walking in. What are you actually going to see and do? Well, the whole self-guided tour is kind of broken down into a few key parts.
The whole thing is set up as a 4-part journey that usually takes about 90 minutes. You kick things off with the history part, the heritage rooms filled with old bottles and awards. Then you get to the really beautiful part, the old brew room with these gigantic gleaming copper kettles. After that, things get very modern very quickly, with interactive games and a 4D simulator ride. And, you guessed it, it all wraps up at the bar where you cash in your wristband for 2 beers.
And you know, for a lot of people, that history section is a real highlight. I saw this quote from the Team Thomas Travels blog that really sums it up. People genuinely enjoy seeing the slick presentation of how this one little brewery became a global behemoth.
But that feeling is definitely not universal, especially when you get to the more modern parts of the tour. This comment from Reddit, for instance, paints a very different picture. For some visitors, this is the point where it stops feeling like a brewery tour and starts feeling more like a corporate marketing exercise that's, well, a little bit awkward. It just goes to show how split people are on this.
Now, the standard tour isn't the entire story. There are some extra features you can tack on. And honestly, its location in the city is a huge part of its appeal. So let's look at what else is going on.
Yeah, you can definitely upgrade your visit. There's a rooftop bar with some pretty amazing views, a VIP tour that gets you into a secret bar for a proper tasting session, and even combo tickets that bundle the tour with a canal cruise and another big attraction. And yep, you can totally get a bottle with your name on it.
And let's be real, one of its biggest selling points is the location. It's right into Pijp, which is one of Amsterdam's liveliest neighborhoods. This is where locals actually live. You walk out the door and you're just minutes from the awesome chaos of the Albert Cuyp Market, where you can get a fresh stroopwafel. Or you could just walk over to Sarfati Park and find a quiet bench. It makes it super easy to mix this big, shiny tourist attraction with the real buzzing energy of Amsterdam.
So, that's what the tourists are doing. But what do the people who actually live in Amsterdam think about all this? Well, for a lot of locals, especially beer lovers, the real Amsterdam beer scene is happening far, far away from that big green star.
And this really gets to the heart of the debate, doesn't it? On one hand, you have the Heineken Experience. It's polished, it's like a theme park, it's the story of a global brand. And on the other hand, you have the city's independent breweries. These are smaller spots, more intimate, where the focus is all about the craft and the local community. It's a choice between 2 totally different ways of thinking about beer.
And these are the places you'll find locals hanging out. You've got Brewery EI, the one right next to a classic Dutch windmill. It's an absolute institution. You've got places like De Prael and Butcher's Tears that are real community hubs. But here's a funny little twist. Oedipus, which was a super popular craft brewery, is now majority owned by Heineken. It just goes to show you how that global giant and the local scene are always interacting with each other.
Okay, so let's say you've weighed all the pros and cons, and you've decided, yep, I'm going. Here are a few pro tips to make sure your visit goes as smoothly as possible.
If you just walk up to the door, a standard adult ticket is going to set you back €21. But that's just the starting price, and there are a few different ticket options. Your basic tour gets you inside and includes 2 beers. The rooftop ticket adds a 3rd beer up on that rooftop bar we talked about. And then there's the VIP tour, which is a much more in-depth 2.5-hour guided thing with premium tastings and a gift for people who really want to go all out.
And finally, some really key advice. Number 1, and I mean this, Book online. It lets you pick a time slot and skip what can be a ridiculously long line. To avoid the worst of the crowds, try to go on a weekday, either right when they open or near closing time. Super important point, you have to be 18 or older to get in, no exceptions. Getting there is easy. Just take the metro to the Visográš station. And please leave your big luggage at the hotel. They only have a cloakroom for small bags and coats.
And that brings us right back to our original question. After looking at it from all sides, the decision is really up to you. Are you in Amsterdam for that polished, high-tech story of a global icon? Or are you looking for the authentic, independent flavor of the city's craft beer scene? There's no wrong answer here, but hopefully you now have everything you need to choose your own perfect Amsterdam adventure.